So here we are. I'm going live now. Seriously freaking out a little bit. I am very much so stepping out of my comfort zone by doing this. I am an introvert, INFP to be specific, so talking to people really freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie. And so I'm sure there are people who have been like seeing that I'm going live and like why are you doing this if you're so nervous? And honestly, there's two reasons. Like, one, I'm always telling the coaches on my team to step out of their comfort zone, and I really do believe stepping out of your comfort zone is how you grow. So I need to practice what I preach, and this one was big and scary, and I just knew I needed to do it. And two, I really want to help people, and I've noticed even whenever I'm just watching somebody tell their story about struggles they've had, it really helps me to relate and to know that I'm not alone. And I just want people out there to know that they're not alone, that there are people who go through anxiety, depression, and perfectionism, or whatever you want to call it. And I used to hide it. I used to hide everything I felt, like, for the longest time. Like, literally, my best friend in the entire world, Mariah, she may be watching this, I don't know, but like, she just found out how bad everything really was internally like a few weeks ago. Like, I never talked about it because I didn't think anybody would understand anything I went through as a child. So I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about my backstory, just to give you some insight about what my life was like. The first like 9 years were really good. Like, I, lived in a pretty nice house until I was like 9. My parents loved me. They spoiled me. I remember one year I got straight A's, so they got me a cat. So, I had a pretty good life for a while. My best friend lived next to me. My grandma lived next to me. Like, it was good. And so I kind of had a taste of what it was like to have support and love and fulfillment. That stopped at 9, but, I kind of can look back and know what that feels like. So then, my parents got a divorce, and honestly, the divorce didn't really affect me too badly. I think I was just too young to know what was going on. So really, it didn't hurt too bad when they got divorced. I just heard from all my friends that you get 2 Christmases and it's fun and whatever, so I wasn't too worried about it. But, eventually our big house that I lived in got sold, so I moved in with my mom, and we were kind of hopping around different places a lot, and I kind of lost that stability that I had always felt in my life. I always felt, stable and comfortable until I was 9, and then I lost all of that when they got divorced and we're hopping around all over the place. I love my mom. She's so amazing, and she is like my biggest supporter now, and I saw she's watching even, so, I know she loves and supports me, and we get along great now. She's my best friend. But we have not always gotten along, and she's dated some very interesting characters, and they're a big reason why we didn't get along, because I thought she deserved better, and I was like, why are you with these losers? Like, they suck. Get rid of them. They suck. They're terrible. They treat you like shit. Like, this sucks. So, that was really hard for me to watch somebody I looked up to just get, treated terribly, and she wasn't in a good place either, She had just gotten out of a bad relationship with my dad. Like, I don't want to get into that. Not my problem. Well, that sounds bad, but it's not like, that's not my area to talk about. But she was not good mentally, and the guy she was dating reflected that. So as a little girl watching this, it was really hard for me to see what a successful, happy relationship looked like. And there was one guy, he was so horrible, and he would like hit her, he'd hit me. I didn't talk about that with anybody. I didn't want anybody to know that. And so I kept a lot of that stuff myself. So then I ended up moving in with my dad, which wasn't much better. I actually got along really well with my stepmom for a long time, and I thought everything was great. Like, I kind of got that feeling of stability back. And then they got married, and all hell broke loose. I was responsible for so much stuff. Like, it was just ridiculous. As a 13, 14, 15-year-old, I was responsible for doing the laundry of like 5 people. My step-siblings, my dad, and my stepmom. It's ridiculous. Like, no kid should have to do that. And if I didn't get it done at a certain time, like, I got grounded and I got yelled at, and I got like like emotionally abused. Like, it was bad, you know, and she would tell people. They told my family, they told family friends, they told everybody that I was a bad kid, that I just needed attention, that I was in with the wrong crowd, even though I've had the same friends like my whole life. They just told everyone all these horrible things about me. So whenever I would reach out to somebody and tell them, like, hey, like, this is bad, like, I'm not getting treated fairly here, they would just be like, she's just, you know, this bad kid. And it was really hard to have everybody dismiss me like that. So, you know, I dealt with that. I dealt with feeling left out. I isolated myself a lot. I just wanted to stay away from people. I think that's a big reason why I'm introverted now. But I ended up living with my ex-boyfriend, my boyfriend at the time, now ex-boyfriend, of course. I ended up house sitting for his dad with him. And getting out of that environment felt so incredible, and I will never, like, forget that feeling of just like, wow, this is what it's like to not rely on these crazy people. So I actually learned, like, a really big lesson, though, because my parents wouldn't teach me how to drive. They, you know, my mom we weren't getting along. And not only that, but my stepmom was talking bad about her and telling me these lies, and that I was eating them up, and I don't know why. I just wanted her to love me, so I kind of just listened to anything she said, to be honest. But, yeah, so my mom and I weren't really in a relationship. My dad wouldn't teach me how to drive, so I ended up being a 17-year-old who, like, had their permit because my boyfriend took me, and he taught me how to drive. So anybody who talks shit on my driving, that's why. Like, I had a 16-year-old or 18-year-old teaching me how to drive, so obviously not the best, but I did get my driver's license, so I was really proud of that. And I was like, how the hell am I going to get a car? You know, I'm living with this stepbrother of mine who's the same age. They're buying him a brand new truck, but meanwhile they won't even teach me how to drive or get my driver's license, so that was pretty cool. That felt real good. But yeah, I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm ever going to get a car. This sucks. And I finally found a job, and I worked at Mustang Sally's, kind of just doing BS stuff, not gonna lie, for a while, and then I ended up working in the kitchen. But I saved up enough money to buy his minivan, and that was my first car. So I was so excited about my minivan because I finally had a way to just drive around. I had freedom, and it sounds silly, but, like, when I saved up that money and I had my boyfriend teach me how to drive, and I got that minivan, like, it taught me, like, you know, my circumstances suck, but I can do anything. Like, I can still use my resources, and I can still get through this. And I really think that's a big thing that I've carried through life. That's really important that I learned through that. As silly as that sounds, there's a quote by Jen Sincero, and she says, if the world fucks you up, that's not your fault. So if somebody hurts you or does somebody wrongs you, that's not your fault. But it's your fault if you stay fucked up. So, like I said, I'm going to be cussing, sorry. But that's like my motto now. It's like, it's not your fault if somebody fucks you up, but it's your fault if you stay fucked up. I love that. Like, that is so true. You know, we all have bad circumstances, some worse than others, of course. But, like, you know, it's your responsibility to take the bad things and turn them into good things. So obviously, you know, everything I went through, you know, I was depressed. I felt like nobody understood me. I didn't want to talk about it. I was anxious, you know, wondering, like, is this, like, am I going to get yelled at today? Is this guy going to, like, hit me today? Like, what, you know, I was always just waiting for the next shitty thing to happen. And I always tried so hard to be perfect. And, you know, that's just something I was so used to. I got in the flow of just trying so hard to be perfect and never living up to that expectation. So that's kind of where my life started, is just going through all that stuff. And I mean, there's so many more things I could touch on with my past that have messed me up, but, like, that would be such a long live video, and I know you guys don't care to watch all of that. But, you know, like, it's crazy because I actually, of course, with everything I went through, was not a huge believer in God. My faith still is, you know, I'm still working on it. I'm still learning all the time. But if it wasn't for the people I've met and talking and doing what I'm doing and trying to better myself, I definitely would not be where I'm at. But when I look at where I was then and where I am now, it's crazy to see like the chain of events that got me to here. And, you know, like, what I think is really cool is like all of my life that is now started with a simple Facebook status that I made. I was with a different ex-boyfriend at the time in Florida, and I loved it, and I wanted to be here so badly. And I was so depressed when we had to go back. I was so upset, and you know, I'm still like, you know, of course, battling all this anxiety, depression, all this stuff. And I was like, you know, because I learned from the minivan incident, I can do anything I set my freaking mind to. I'm gonna move to Florida. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know like what the circumstances are gonna be, but I'm gonna do it. And I made a Facebook status when we were leaving. I don't remember what I said, but I was passing through Orlando. We weren't even staying in Orlando. We were just passing through. And Billy, my current boyfriend, he commented on it, and he said some stuff about how he lived here, and he's like, oh, we have to meet up. I was like, oh, I'm leaving. And, you know, he's 5 years older than me, and I've known him since I was like 10. So we never really had like a strong relationship. We didn't really know each other because I'm so much younger than him. So like, you know, when I was 10, he was 15, to me being 17, 18 the last time I saw him before now. You know, obviously we weren't like best friends. He even babysat me once, like it's weird. But yeah, so, you know, we're talking, we're reconnecting, we're texting each other. And he's like, you know, if you ever move down here, like I'll help you relocate. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got accepted into dental hygiene school, which was a huge deal. They're very selective, so I was very excited when I got accepted. And I was like, how the hell am I going to pay for this? How am I going to make this work? Like, what am I going to do? So my big plan was to do this hygiene school thing full-time, work 2 jobs full-time, and just suck it up for 2 years. I'm like, I can do it. Like, it'll be worth it, because dental hygienists make bank. Like, you can look it up. They make crazy good money. So I was like, I'm going to do this. And I had a week before I started my new job, and I was like, F it, I'm going to Florida. So I texted Billy, who I haven't seen in years, who I have no relationship with, and I said, hey, I'm on my freaking way to Florida right now, because I know I'm too excited to sleep. So I'm on my way. And he said, okay. And he just took me in with open arms. And so I drove down to Florida, and we had a blast, and I finally felt like this is where I'm supposed to be, and it was amazing. And he was like, you know, if you just want to crash here until you find a new place to live, here, I'm still here, but he's like, if you want to just crash here until you find a new place to live, you can. I was like, oh my god, like, okay, so I would be giving up a lot, you know, the hygiene school thing and everything, but I was like, my heart still was telling me, like, you need to stay, like, in Florida. Like, my heart told me that, and I listened, and that school ended up shutting down, so that's pretty crazy, but my heart told me to stay, so I stayed. And, well, actually, I didn't make that decision right away. I said, if I could find a job within the next week, then I'll stay. And I did. I found one in 2 days, making more than I've ever made. And I loved it. I saw Deanna was watching, but I met Deanna. She was an incredible person. Sorry, my dog's barking. She was an incredible person. I loved working with her. And she was super fit. She looks so good for her age. Like, she is, like, so fun and energetic and so happy. And I was like, what is her secret? What is this girl doing that I'm not doing? Like, what is she doing? And at the time, I was really self-conscious, you know, still anxious, depressed, feeling, you know, like I need to be perfect, still battling with all this stuff. And she's like, oh, I work out at home. And I was like, no, you don't. Like, you're ripped. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, I'm doing hammer and chisel. I'm like, no, you're freaking not. She's like, here, try Shakeology. I was like, no, ew, like, a meal replacement shake? Yeah, no. Like, I don't drink shakes. No. And I was, like, so against it forever. And she's like, here, just take a freaking shake and try it. It's free. And I was like, fine. So I tried it, and I loved it. And my roommate that lived here whenever I first came down, Pierce, he was actually in school for, I asked Billy this the other day. I think it's health and science, I don't know, health and fitness science, I don't know, something like that. Something like he went to college for. Like, he knows his shit about health and fitness. And I made him read the ingredient label. I'm like, what the hell is in this stuff? Like, is this good? And he's like, let me see this, you know, like, expecting to be like, this is BS. And he looked at it, and he's like, oh, it's actually pretty legit. And I was like, Okay, that's cool. So that's good to know. And she told me a little bit about like the coaching opportunity, and I was like, intrigued, but I still was like, I don't want to sell stuff to people. And I eventually, like during this time, my grandmother had cancer, and she was like my stability in my life. She was like the one thing in my life that was always there for me. Like she was always like I always had security with her, and she was battling cancer, and she ended up dying in December of this year that I'm talking about. That I don't know, I'm bad with years, but it was a really hard time for me, and I went back to Missouri for her funeral. I okayed it with my boss and everything, and he fired me because he said I'm unreliable. So that was pretty cool. So my grandma just died. My boss that, I thought was cool with everything, like fired me. So that was a big ego, hit. And it was really hard. And so I kept coming back to Beachbody, and I kept coming back to this coaching opportunity. And I don't even know why. And I just posted this random Instagram thing about it. And I was like, does anybody do this? And Mia, my coach, reached out to me, and now we're like best friends, but she reached out to me, and she was super cool, like so laid back, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna let these people get to me. I'm not gonna let them, like, I'm gonna do this my way, and these people aren't, like, I know they're just gonna tell me to message everybody I know and just harass them, and I'm not doing it. I refuse. I pretended like, I wasn't interested at all in the coaching opportunity, even though, like, deep down in my head, I was like, okay, I'm gonna share my journey while I'm losing this weight, but, like, I don't want them to know, like, I'm secretly kind of interested. So I did it, and, like, literally a weekend, I was so in love with these people that I had met, and I was like, oh my god, like, they're real, like, they're nice, like, they're like a family, like, they were telling each other they love each other, like, what is this place? And I was so amazed, and I was like, what the hell? So I was like, I want to be a part of this. So I was like, okay, I'm in, I want to coach now, like, oh, thank you, Sindel. I was like, yes, I'm in, I want to coach, like, these people are awesome, like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And so I did it, and, once again, to reiterate, still depressed, still anxious, like, moving to Florida is great, and moving to where you love is great, starting something you're passionate about is great, but until you get into the root of your issues, you're never going to be happy. And this is where I'm starting to tie in everything, because I'm a talker, but, like, my coach was like, so, like, you're struggling, have you been doing personal development? I was like, no, I don't need that, as an anxious, depressed person who thinks they have to be perfect, mad all the time person, thought, I don't need self-help, gross, like, I'm not doing that shit, are you kidding me? And I was like, almost like, whoa, like, yuck. She's like, well, you have to, because it's like one of our vital behaviors, like, we only have 3 of them, and that's one of them, you have to do it. And I was like, no, I don't want to, it's gross. And she was like, well, you should. And she's like, just start with the compound effect. I said, okay. So I ordered it online, and it was very secretive. And I was like, I don't want my boyfriend to know how weird I am because I'm reading personal development. It was so weird. And I read it, and, like, I still apply that book to everything today. I loved it. I was, like, addicted. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I told him all about it. I was like, this is so crazy. I read this book, and it's so good. And I'm, like, telling him all the stuff I'm learning, and, like, I'm getting all excited, and I started ordering all these other personal development books, and, like, all of a sudden I'm, like, this huge advocate. And I read You Were a Badass, and, like, I've read that, like, 3 times. I love it. Like, I got crazy about it. I'm like, oh my god, self-help is awesome. Like, this is so great. I was super excited about it. And I, like, the more you're with the same type of people, the less weird that kind of stuff feels. Like, I know a lot of people still are probably like, ew, gross, because that's how I felt. But if you're a Beachbody coach, that is one of your vital behaviors. Like, you literally are required to better yourself. And how cool is that? Like, I'm with a company that gives a shit if you're happy and healthy, like, mentally or not. Like, that is, like, you learn that. Like, that is, like, what you have to do. And it, like, completely changed my life. So, like, I cannot say enough good things about personal development and Beachbody. But, like, honestly, like, it's just crazy. Like, this is kind of where I'm, like, I go back and, like, think, like, about my faith and stuff. And it's just weird. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here if I wouldn't have posted a Facebook status about, you know, whatever, passing through Orlando. Like, that's just crazy to me. And, like, I don't want to get on a big tangent about that, but, like, I just think it's so cool that, like, that's what led me to here. But, you know, like, I don't know, I just think it's really cool. And just, I've learned so much through this journey, and I just want everyone to feel this way, honestly. Like, I cannot, like, describe, like, how good it feels to, like, finally start tackling these issues and to start bettering myself. Like, I would probably not be with my boyfriend right now because I was a miserable person to be around. After I got over the excitement of moving, I was a miserable freaking person, and we would have broken up if it wasn't for Beachbody, personal development, my team, like, all of that stuff. Like, you know, I just know it. Like, I learned so much about how to handle myself in situations from that, and so I figured out so much about what's wrong with me, like, internally from everything I've experienced, and it's really, like, it's changed my life. And, you know, when people, like, wonder, like, what Beachbody coaches do, it's like, this is it. Like, we just literally change our lives from the inside out and tell people about that. Like, that is what my job is. Like, it's not like a gimmick, or like, there's no, like, the people that are successful in this business are not like bots. Like, they're real people, like real people who've had the same struggles I have, that have overcome them and, like, done something with their lives and made something, like, beautiful out of this. And thank you, Cheska. You're so sweet. Cheska's like, we're the same person. It's crazy. But I wouldn't have reconnected with Cheska if I wouldn't have done this either. So that's pretty cool. Like, I didn't realize, like, how badly I just needed support systems, and how badly I just needed to be around positive people. You know, like they say, your vibe attracts your tribe. That's why I'm, like, the Strong Vibes tribe. Like, I want to attract people who want to better themselves. You know, like, all I do as a Beachbody coach, like, people ask me, like, what do you do? And it's like, if you just go and, like, literally look at my Facebook and my Instagram, you can see, like, I don't post, like, graphics and stuff. Like, I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. I literally, like, it has changed my life so much just with this community and, like, bettering myself and being forced to better myself. Like, it's helped me so much. I literally just want everyone to feel this way. Like, it's so amazing. And I know there's so many people out there like me that not only could they feel better, but then they could inspire people to feel better. And it could be an endless, like, reaction, like a chain reaction. You know, like, I'm on a top 5 team, like the 5th team out of 500,000 people. Like, imagine how many people that one person, Ashley Smith, like my big upline, way up there, like great grandma coach, imagine if she wouldn't have started coaching. If she wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't be on this team. Like, it's so crazy. Like, you know, I just want to help people like that. Like, I want to have that kind of, like, chain reaction and just be able to help that many people be able to change the way they feel. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my story. That's how I did it. And I just really want people to know, like, you're not alone. Like, no matter what, you're not alone. And you may think that, like, if you're going through something, that the people around you aren't going to understand, and they may not. Like, you know, the best friend, Mariah, that I talked to everything about recently, like, I know she doesn't understand where I'm coming from. She told me that. She's like, you know, I don't understand, but I'm going to try to for you, because I love you, and I want you to talk to me about these things. Like, you may think that the people around you don't understand, and they don't, but they'll be there for you anyway. Like, me and her have, like, such a better relationship now because I actually, like, finally told her everything. Like, you would be amazed at, like, how much people will be there for you if you just, like, open your heart out to them. And not only that, but, like, you know, I'm always here. You know, I like I've said, like, I don't do this for the money. I don't, like, I'm not, and, you know, I know there's Beachbody coaches who are just in this, like, just to make a quick buck, and they don't take it seriously. That sucks. You know, our team's awesome, and we don't do that, but, like, if you can't afford to join a challenge group, or you can't afford to, like, do coaching or whatever, that's fine. Just, like, send me a message and we can talk. Like, I don't want you to be alone. Like, I just want everybody to feel like they have somebody that they can talk to. And, you know, anytime I see somebody posting a status where they're sad, like I just want to talk to them, like, you know, just, you're not alone. So just please reach out if you're feeling like depressed or anxious or like you have to be perfect or suicidal or anything. Just please reach out to somebody, even if it's me, like your best friend, your parents, like just let them know, and just know you're not alone. But I know there's not too many people on because I am a talker, but does anybody have any questions about coaching or about what I do or about my life or literally anything? I'll wait a couple seconds. And then if anybody watches this later, they can just post it in the comments. I swear Facebook Live is like changing on me. And it won't let me say anything. So I can't say anything right now. But yeah, if you have any questions for me or any thoughts or you just need somebody to talk to, please reach out. Thank you for everybody who watched me and supported me. I'm going to like work out now because this was a huge adrenaline rush. So bye.